Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. The real danger of porn for young men. The real danger. Now, I know there's some guys, they'll talk about, no FAP and semen retention, and that's very good, but, thinking about, fantasizing about these women who are in these porns in a way, or living vicariously through the men who are having sex with them. Okay, yeah, you got all of that stuff, right? But check it out. The real danger of porn for young men is it mentally takes them out of the reality of dealing with real women. Remember the thing, because, when I was coming up, seeing porn wasn't easy. When I was young, we didn't even have VCRs, like tapes, VHS tapes, beta tapes, or anything to really watch porn on. At first, even when it got started, it wasn't as easy. Now it's just a click away for many young men. Now you get some young men getting into this, and yeah, there's all these other problems that they can get. But one of the main things is they get an unrealistic view of women. Unrealistic. Or you can even add stuff like OnlyFans or, these cam women and everything. Even these women on platforms like TikTok or IG. It's how they present themselves. They present themselves all sensuously and sexy and everything. The real danger in all that to a young man is it gives them a skewed view of how to deal with women in the real world. That's the real danger. It ain't even so much that they jerking off or whatever, or they'll see women a certain way, but they don't know how to deal with real women. That's the real danger. Like you talk about this loneliness epidemic out here. All these young men are lonely, but they've probably been watching porn. And even a lot of these guys who call themselves, incel or whatever, I noticed one thing about a lot of these guys. When you meet them in the real world and you start talking about women, now somebody in the real world, they'll look at a woman who might rate as a 6 and be like, yeah, she fine, or, whatever. And they looking at her like, ugh. Because I found that interesting. You get a lot of guys who got problems with women. And they want the finest women. They don't just want any woman, they want the finest women. But what is that coming from? Well, one part of it is the overall media, only presenting the most attractive. But then if you look at porn and stuff like that, they present these women not just physically attractive, but receptive sexually. And then, man, especially if he's jerking off to it or anything, he's really, what's happening in his mind is subconsciously he feels like a woman he should be that and should act like, not only be sensual like the women are presenting in porn, but also receptive, behavior-wise, everything to him. Like they should act like that in the real world. No, they don't. That's the thing with porn. That's the thing with a lot of these women who, even like if they showing their bodies and stuff, no, they present an image. And they messing with a man's imagination because then they don't know how to deal with a real woman. First of all, most of those women in porn, they don't look like that in the real world. There's been countless videos and articles showing what they look like without makeup on. 2, they really don't behave like that. They not gonna behave like that in the real world. So a man, he's dealing with a fantasy. All of a sudden, that's the real danger. A lot of these guys get caught up in a fantasy image of women, not a realistic image. And it hurts them in many ways. 1, they don't know how to deal with real women. 2, even more insidious, is that they have these women, any women, you get some of these player type of women, these women who use men in everything. They know all they have to do is, these men are already programmed to fall for them. All they have to do is behave like the women do in the porn. All they have to do is show the same level of receptiveness. Shoot, even use the same words. Because there's so many men programmed to respond to that. And so you get some women, they'll be that porn woman. They'll dress up a certain way, wear their makeup a certain way, everything. And they can shoot. They can say whatever, they can get their lines right from a porn. And some guy is going to respond. Some guy's going to pay for it. He's going, on a deep level, he's going to think this is normal. Like you get a lot of these guys talking about 304s and everything. But I've said before, if you really understand women, if you really know them, most women out here don't have that type of body count or are sexual in that way. If you really deal with a lot of women, they might want to have sex. All women want to have sex, but then there's going to be some conditions, and many of them are sexually repressed themselves. But why is the guy going to think that? Because he's been watching porn, and the women are behaving a certain way. So this guy going to think all women behave a way. And then if you talk to these guys, you ask them, say, how many women have you actually dealt with in the real world? Like a real world. And it really isn't a high number. It really isn't a high number, but they've been programmed by what they've seen in porn and thinking, oh, this is it. This is it. It's like, no. All the women aren't going to look like that. All the women aren't going to behave like that. All women don't behave like that, Because it's interesting. Let me get back to that body count thing. Like when I did a video on it, I had a couple guys say, I don't agree. But they couldn't say why. They couldn't. I actually gave my reasons for saying what I said. I always do. But some, if you really challenge somebody on it, they can't really answer the question. Because you haven't dealt with that many women in the real world. And if you really find out, you really dig with them, they probably been into porn and stuff like that. See, it skews reality in the minds of these young men. That's the real danger. And then they can't deal with the reality out there of how a woman's going to actually behave, Because you got a significant amount of women out here, they might want sex, but because they repressed, they got categories on a man. He got to be this, this, and this. So they ain't going to be as receptive as maybe a woman in a porn video. Because the combination is, if a man is watching the videos and he's jacking off to it, psychologically, that's what he's going to want. Psychologically. So, and it's a real danger. And I actually applaud the men out here who say, leave it alone. Go no fap, go semen retention, I actually applaud them because at least they trying to get off of that drug. Because it's something that's in the man. See, understand something. With the man, it's very important how he thinks about women. Remember what I say. A man makes love to a woman's body, but a woman makes love to a man's mind. See, a lot of men, when they're watching porn, that's going into their mind. That's going into their ego. In fact, it imprints them in a way. It's actually a form of imprinting. So then they want that in the real world, but they're not going to meet that in the real world. Women aren't going to be that way in the real world, unless you miss the Goodbar, For most men, a woman's not going to be that way in the real world. So you got to think about that. And then, of course, like I said earlier, you get some women, since a man's been programmed to respond to that type of woman, they'll play right into it. They'll play right into it. And then use that to get money out the man. So, it's a real psychological danger. Porn, I would say, don't watch porn. You can't learn anything. Some guys think they can learn something. I say no, because it's fucking with your head. Don't watch it, period. I'm just going to say that. Normally I say I live and let live, let somebody do whatever, but I'm going to say, nah, that shit fucking with you. you know, or at least not on a regular basis. Every now and then, but that could fuck with you, especially you really indulge in it, and especially if you jack off to it, you know, so psychological. So I want y'all to think about that, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. Well, for right now. For right now. I gotta laugh because I know I might not do a car video later. So anyway, I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.